let's hop in to our first game of the day. It's bright and early out there, and by bright, I mean it is pitch black outside, because it is 2 o'clock in the morning for me. That is the perfect time to cast some StarCraft. So let's get into game one. Spawning in the upper right-hand corner of Ghost River, we have fan favorite, one of the best non-Korean players of all time. It is Scarlet. And her opponent in the upper left-hand corner, the orange Protoss. You may know him as Cyan, but he is now going by Lancer. The full name change by our light blue Protoss player. I was struggling to figure out which match to cast. Ooh, Scarlet's going for a little hatch block here. That's nice. Something we see Dark do decently often. And we got a second gateway from Lancer as a response. Actually, I don't know if that was a response. I feel like this was a planned 2-gate opener out of Lancer. There's no... Oh, there is a pool with this. I was like... I went to this screen. I was like, there's no pool. That's crazy. No, never mind. There is certainly a pool with this. Lings are on the way. Come try to be annoying. But with the Zealot out, second Zealot on the way, and now second Gateway and the Cyber Core finishing up, we're going to see an Adept started up. I feel like these Lings aren't going to be able to get too much done here. Yeah, Zealot going to be able to hold the wall until these Adepts get out. There is the cancel on the hatchery. The drone does escape. Good job, drone. Now it looks like Lancer's going to counterattack with the 2-gate opener. He has this possibility. Kind of a nice thing about the 2-gate opener here. Is there a preference of player or race you usually decide to cast? Not necessarily. I do tend to lean towards players I don't get to cast very often, which is why I was excited to get into a Scarlet match. I don't cast many events that Scarlet plays in. She doesn't usually play in a lot of these Open Cups. At least the ones that I'm casting. So, nice to get to cast some Scarlet games today. And we also have some players like coming back from military service. I know Rogue's in this bracket. Trap is in this bracket. Those are two very interesting players that I would like to cast. But we had to make a choice. Scarlet was the choice. Doing a pretty good job defending against this. Kills the 2 Zealots, keeps all 3 Queens alive. This one is very low. But it looks like these Adepts are going to mostly be trying to run away, and they will both escape. And that's big. It really looked like she was going to be able to get one or two of the, one or both of those with this big round of Lings. But instead loses 4 drones, loses a handful of Lings as well, and just kills the 2 Zealots. These are the bodyguard Zealots, just trying to keep the Adepts alive. They did a great job. Lancer able to get a few worker kills. Now, granted, this Nexus is very late, right? Because of the hatch block and because of the 2-gate opener to follow that up. This is a much later Nexus than you might expect out of the Protoss. So he got some economic damage done. But it's not the end of the world here for Scarlet by any means, whose third base is about halfway done and is now getting to drone a little more freely. I say a little more freely because while this was a Stargate opener for the Oracle, this Oracle's going to make itself known to the Overlord right away, and I feel like this is really, really dangerous because this is immediately into Glaives. I don't think I've seen Glaives this quickly after the Stargate. And I do feel like that's partially because of how this game opened. The tech bunched up a little bit, but this Glaives is going to feel very fast. And this build seems to have just become super popular. Classic was absolutely bopping nerds with this in KSL the other day. And it's just the simple Stargate Oracles into Glaive Adepts. But I think it became so popular to go into Blink Stalkers that Zergs are getting caught off guard by this now. Well, he does lose that Oracle. These Adepts are trying to get to the corner. I think they're going to shade towards the natural. Lings are looking for a counterattack. They're going to find this probe and this pylon here at the third base. As the Adepts are wandering their way home. I don't know if the Lings spotted the extra set of Adepts, though. This is a big tell. 6 more Adepts coming across the map is a big tell. I don't know if there's much Scarlet can do about it. She doesn't have any roaches on the way out just yet. The Roach Horn is done, but this might just be a dead Scarlet, guys. These 5 roaches are starting up so late. The Glaive Adepts following up the Oracles. Once again bamboozling the Zerg, and right now Scarlet is just trying to keep drones alive. These drones, they got to get out of there. Oh no, they path the wrong way. No, the drones. Oh, and it just happens so quickly. More Adepts come in and they will get killed, but this is just distracting all of these Lings. Look at the amount of Adepts here, just absolutely clobbering these roaches. It's really not even that many Adepts. It felt like so many more when they also had the shades nearby, but now we have Adepts getting in here. There are Queens here, but if Lancer just targets down some drones, I mean, this is going to be still huge damage. That's 10 more drones on top of the 10 from earlier, as it looks like these Adepts might grab the Queen, and they'll head over here. Okay, they will get chased away, but look at the worker count, 29 to 51. Scarlet is at like half the worker count of her opponent, who does have the third base done. It's ready. Now, I will say, Lancer's not done a great job of following this up. One thing that I noticed from Classic, who again was doing this build a lot just a couple days ago, is that he immediately behind this, the Robo was not only already done, at this point he'd have like 2 Immortals chrono boosted out. Because the Adepts were a distraction for so long that he could do these things back at home. We don't see that from Lancer. He's a bit late on that. That Robo only just now finishing means that the threat of a Roach counterattack is much more prevalent in this game. That being said, I did see a Void Ray on the way. We have some shield batteries. Stalkers are warping in now with Blink on the way. So the longer Scarlet takes to do any counterattack damage, the less useful these Roaches will be. The Adepts continuing to threaten the shade. Just fighting against some roaches now. Scarlet really doesn't want to be losing roaches out here. And I think the big problem for Scarlet is behind this, Lancer will get up an army that's going to be very good against roaches. So while she needs to focus on droning, she also somehow has to get units out that aren't just roaches. Blink Stalkers and Immortals with some sentries are going to be so good in the mid game against a pure roach army. There is the Hydra Den going down, and I actually feel like straight up Hydras, just roach Hydra, might be a positive answer against this. The Hydra DPS on the backline can be really strong. I don't know if she's going to have time. Blink Stalkers are moving out just as Blink's about to finish. +1 ground weapons also finishing up for Lancer, and it feels like this follow-up attack might end up being too much. The army supplies skewing heavily in favor of the Protoss. There's a Void Ray and an Immortal with this, just to add on a little bit extra. Oh, and the Adepts are going to shade forward, forcing Scarlet to split off some roaches to deal with this, and she is just going to tap out as that army waltzes into her third. The Lancer takes game number 1 with the build that seems to be just winning against every Zerg right now. It's actually insane. I haven't seen this build lose this week. All right, game 2 is going to be on Alcyone. Hop on in and see if the series gets closed out or if we get a game 3. Spawning in the lower left-hand corner, we have our red Zerg player for the Shopify Rebellion, Scarlet. The rough first game there, but I believe she can pull it back. Her opponent in the upper right-hand corner is the orange Protoss Lancer, again, formerly known as Cyan. If you're wondering who this Protoss is that you haven't heard of and why he's doing so well, it's because you have heard of him. It just went under the name Cyan. And I do think this is one of the underrated Protosses of the world. I feel like Cyan is one of those people that could just pop in and take games and matches off of a lot of people. Smart player. I mean, we're seeing it here, right? Taking a game off of Scarlet is already a great start. And this is a great scout. Just popping over, making sure to check to see if there's a gold base. It's such a simple thing. But this probe could have gone straight to the natural. But instead, now Lancer knows this is here and is going to just drop a pylon. We already saw the 2-gate opener last game, but this is going to be a gate forge because he's going to cannon rush this base, and Scarlet sees this. The Overlord sees this, and I assume Lancer saw that Overlord get to the pillar. Maybe not, though. The vision here is weird. Scarlet's got a drone coming down, but the first cannon goes down. Is she going to just be forced to cancel this gold base? The pool's not done yet. She cancels the base. Natural is down. Third base goes down. Lancer could continue to cannon rush. This drone is going to spot this, though. Oh, is she trying to do a take the gas and get behind here trick? I don't know if that's going to work. Yeah, Lancer going to continue to cannon rush. These cannons were canceled. Now 2 more go down. At this point, the pool is done, so Lings could be coming out. But I feel like Scarlet's just going to also cancel this base. Again, this is big delay on the Nexus, right? So while this is a big problem for Scarlet, the delay on the Nexus is also a big problem for Lancer looking forward. Scarlet's just going to take the other third base. One cannon is going to finish this time for Lancer, as there's a Zealot over here as well. And I don't think he's too sad about having a cute little position on this map that is annoying and kind of difficult for Scarlet to break. Like, even just one cannon can be annoying to deal with if you have units out here as well. The Ling's got to be really careful. Scarlet, ooh, she's not going to spot that cannon that popped up. There, yeah, she's going to see it now. She also spots that the Nexus is on the way. The wall is full with the Stargate. The Adept gets into the main base, but it's going to find itself a little bit caught here as the drones turn to fight for a second. It looks like 2 drones go down. Nice last second shot by that Adept. But the Adept will fall for 2 drones. Not the biggest advantage there. And again, while forcing the 2 cancels is nice, Lancer did have to spend money for it. We have 2 pylons and a cannon, not to mention 3 canceled cannons. There's a little bit of loss here on both sides, as Scarlet is going to dive forward. The cannon auto-targeting on the Queen, which it will not get. That's a nice break. It's a nice break. I feel like if Lancer had focused a couple of Lings down there, I might have traded a little bit better, but it doesn't really make much of a difference. A gateway follow-up right now for Lancer. He will have a very early forge, so could try to go for some early ground upgrades. And oh my god, Lancer going for a gold base here. I mean, I guess if you already have the Forge, you could cannon it up pretty easily. But I don't know if I like this move a ton. Because he knows Scarlet already mined through this, right, to get her gold base. She has a much easier time just getting Lings over here. But I guess the question is, will she scout this? Will she suspect it? I would not think the Protoss would do this. We have a shield battery going down. Again, we could very easily have a cannon going down here or two, which would stop any Lings from doing anything. Like 2 cannons and a shield battery, and you're pretty much set against Lings until the late game. That being said, the Roach Warren is done, and this third is going to be a very vulnerable position for a Lancer. Again, assuming Scarlet sees it at a reasonable time. Because if this just gets mining, has static defense, we have Warpins available for a Lancer, and the army becomes a little bit more mobile, something like, let's say, Blink Stalkers. I don't know, I see the possibility of this doing really well. Lancer taking a big gamble here. I feel like it's starting to pay off already. So those probes get to mining. The double Oracle coming in. Gonna try to pop the Queen, but they won't get her. Or that Roach. Just looking for damage. They haven't gotten any damage yet. They want a little damage. It's like a treat. Scarlet has still not seen this base. This is huge. The Lancer is just getting free money from this right now. And I'm shocked he has not put down 2 cannons. Absolutely shocked. All it would take right now is like 12 Lings to come over here, and this could be a problem. But as I say that, the Blink Stalkers warping in, heading their way across the map. They're not quite Blink Stalkers yet, but Blink and +1 are on the way, and there are 4 more gates coming up. So Lancer's going to use that gold base to try to just overwhelm with Blink Stalkers. And because Scarlet hasn't scouted that base, but she has scouted this area, she thinks there's no third. I think, like, right now, she fully believes this is a 2-base Protoss, and that's a big problem. That Stalker positioning might be suspicious, hanging out over by this base. Scarlet does have a lot of Roaches out. Ling's coming out now as well. Trying to hold on to this 4th base. She's on 71 drones, so a nice drone count here for Scarlet. And that's a lot of Roaches. Stalker's going to blink backwards, but the Ling's up front as well. Going to be triggering that stasis so the Roaches can keep on chasing, just trimming these Stalkers off. That's good defense from Scarlet so far, and this gold base not paying off just yet. But it doesn't look like Lancer's stopping there. Normal 3rd base location going to be used for the 4th, which will help kind of connect these 2 bases as well. Charge and +2 on the way. So Lancer's going to continue teching up, but it does feel like these Stalkers needed to get some damage done, maybe force a cancel on a 4th base or something, and they just have not. They've just traded, I guess, fine against the Roaches, but Stalkers need to do more than trade fine. Actually, they've traded poorly. Look at that. 4 Stalkers going down, only 2 Roaches. I would say this is a very good situation for Scarlet. Killing that many Stalkers already, and the Stalkers just not really able to do anything, find any damage. They're clearing creep. That's bare minimum here for Blink Stalkers. And with Hydras out now, this is going to be even more difficult for these Stalkers to find any real damage. That Hydra DPS is pretty big. Oh, we got Roaches coming in for the flank. Stalker's going to have to blink over the mineral patch here, but a few of them going to go down nonetheless. Lancer breaks the rocks here, but I don't think this fight's going to go well. The huge concave outside of those minerals. And the Roaches on the other side of the map, they still haven't spotted that these rocks are gone. Scarlet must know this gold base is here, right? She must have realized. And she's just sending it right now. Just more Hydras on the way. She is almost completely maxed. Stalkers coming up to take this fight. This is a very awkward angle for Scarlet. Fighting into a super shield battery on the right-hand side, but most of the army on the left. She's kind of stuck in the middle here. Not an ideal position at all. This fight is going as well for Lancer as you could expect it to. But look at the supplies. It is just still so in favor of Scarlet. She has so much army in production right now that even as this army trades out, it feels like Scarlet's going to have an insane follow-up. She does have to be careful. Charge lots are entering the field, so these last few units are going to get cleaned up very easily. I don't think any roaches were in that production tab, so it's just going to be Ling Hydra. Scarlet is playing a Brood War style right here. I don't know if it's going to work as well as the Brood War army, but it's looking pretty good. That Hydra DPS is crazy, and the Ling's just buffering the Zealots long enough to take them all down. The Stalkers cannot fight the Hydras on their own, not in these numbers. And Lancer lost, I feel like he lost probes here. Not a lot of probes mining at this base. He does have this base up and running, but his army is so small, it doesn't feel like he's really got any substantial army right now. Almost entirely Blink Stalkers with just a handful of Zealots. No splash damage, and I feel like that's the real trick here. Is Scarlet is so susceptible to splash damage, but we just don't see it yet. There's the Robo Bay on the way, but that is so far away from a Colossus, and it would just be one without Thermal Lance for the next like 3 minutes. It's a lot of time for Scarlet to get into Lurkers, which is the next stage of evolution here as the Infestation Pit pops. Hive is going to start up. Lurker Den is almost done. We have Spine Crawlers on the way. I'm assuming these are anti-run-by Spine Crawlers. There's a lot of Spine Crawlers just right at this base. It's very interesting. I don't know what these Hydras are doing here. The Stalkers are going to come in and just be able to take a nice little fight against them. What happened in the main? Wait a second. I was focused on those Stalkers. And I'm assuming a massive Zealot warp in just killed the Hive. I don't know what died recently. My goodness. Warp Prism getting into the main base there. That's probably why Scarlet Hydras were caught out on the map by those Stalkers. We got more Zealots coming in. This time the Hydras are nearby. But, I mean, that's super painful. Scarlet just now finishing the lair. That means the Hive is just going to start up again in a moment. Which means those Lurker upgrades are super far away. This has bought so much time for Lancer to get into those Colossi. That being said, Lurkers are done. And even without their upgrades, they're going to be very good against Blink Stalkers and Charge Lots. And again, these Zealots have been pushed away. The Spine Crawlers at this base mean that they're not going to be able to do much in there. These Zealots going to have a tough time finding a way in. Speaking of a way in, Scarlet is going for a Nidus. She's going to try to make her way into a main base, potentially. There are some nice positions here for a Nidus that might go unnoticed by Lancer. Oh, Zealots getting caught out down here. The Prism will get away. Just a few of those Zealots going down. Looks like they stopped this base from getting planted. In the meantime, Lancer is expanding very nicely on this side of the map. I'm really liking his expansion timings. He's been very bold about it. Scarlet, we haven't seen any run-bys from Scarlet, at least that I've noticed in this game. And now Lancer's going to push on this bottom side. I don't know if I love this, though. We've got Lurkers and Spine Crawlers up on the high ground. And that feels like a position that this army can't quite break. If there was like 6 Immortals in there, I'd say that was fine, but that's not quite the case. Scarlet's got to be really careful with all of these Hydras out on the map like this. I guess she knows where the army is. But getting caught off guard with an army with like 4 Colossi in it, that could be very, very painful. And as I was talking about Immortals, we do have double Immortal production now. It's going to be 3 Colossi and then just a bunch of Immortals underneath. Storm is on the way, and Lancer's heading towards the late game air units. That's got to be a dangerous transition, though, because of the amount of Hydras that Scarlet's been going for. Those first few carriers are going to be completely useless. Oh, this is so nice, though. Lancer just force fielding off this army from helping out. And again, with the super delayed range on these Lurkers, they're really struggling against the Colossi right now. This base is getting absolutely minced. We do see a run by coming in here, but it looks like Zealots and a shield battery might be able to just hold on against it. This base is going to go down. 15 drones go down. And then Lancer just gets out of there. Doesn't see this base on the way out, though, and I feel like that's a bit of a mistake. Not being able to take that out. As I say it, though, it looks like these Zealots might grab it. The Ling run by sent home after just getting 2 probes. Lancer takes a worker lead. And, you know, has a nice fresh base. Is going to take out 2 of Scarlet's hatcheries. Scarlet is double expanding now to the bottom side. These lurkers will burrow in time against the Zealots, but can they actually save this base before the Zealots kill all of the drones that have just transferred over and the hatchery? 2 lurkers not particularly good at killing Zealots like this. And at the same time, the Prism is in the main base. Oh my god, Zealots and a DT warp in. This is huge. Scarlet really struggling to deal with all of this pressure. The Hydra Den is going to go down. The main base might go down again. It looks like this hatchery gets saved just barely, but 20 more drones falling. Scarlet down to 54 workers. So while she has this big, scary army that I do feel like is better here, and it looks like just killed some stuff, it's a huge lurker army. And now that they have their upgrades finished up, they're terrifying. But she has no economy left. She's down to, right now, about 2 mining bases. She did just drone up, so this base is going to be able to have some amount of drones at it, although there's no detection here. Where is the detection? The 2 lurkers really coming in clutch right now. All right, there's the detection. Parasitic Bomb on the Warp Prism as well, sends it away. This hatchery stays alive. Do we have any queens around for transfuse? There's just 1 queen in this game right now. And she's got to be injecting with all her might because the hatchery count is so low for Scarlet. The larva count's going to be really low. She's going to have trouble spending that money. Not to mention that this is going to make that carrier transition, which I talked about being scary for Lancer, so much easier. Scarlet can't afford to just throw Hydras at this. She's down to 2 Hydras because I assume the Colossi did a great job in some fights earlier. And a lot of them morphed into lurkers. There's 26 lurkers. Oh my god. Yeah, never mind. They all morphed into lurkers. But that means there's no anti-air. As I say that, 12 corruptors in the production tab. There was double spires. So double spire upgrades starting up for Scarlet as well. She's spending all of her money on that. Just going big on the corruptors, which is absolutely the correct answer. Because at some point, yeah, like 15, 20 Hydras can do well against the first couple of carriers that come out. But once there's like 6 carriers, Hydras start to become a very ineffective answer, especially if there's still Colossi and Storm underneath. Those Hydras just do not, they don't cut the mustard. This is really nice, though. A couple of lurkers just causing a disruption. Not that big of a disruption, though, and I feel like this is not going to end up paying off for Scarlet monetarily. Lancer is just chilling right now, dealing with these things back at home, static defensing the hell out of these bases, and this is becoming a very terrifying Protoss army. Now, that being said, Lancer chilling at home means that Scarlet's gold base, which was, remember, the first expansion she tried to take, is finally up and running now. This base, a nice fresh base, is up and running despite being low on hit points. That's still a very nice base to have. This one I don't think is going to be long for this world as Lancer is moving out. But Scarlet has an economy now and is starting to actually bank up a little bit of money. As she's forced to come down here to try to deal with this, the lurker's getting a little bit bunched up. There are corruptors here. There are a couple of vipers, or at least 1 viper, I believe. Ooh, gonna get a yoink off, but does get fed back. Ooh. Okay, the 1 carrier does go down. This base is still so low. Scarlet can't really afford to lose that mining right now. I wonder if like a macro hatchery here makes sense. You get the macro hatch because there's not a lot of inject energy available. You get that extra larva. But also, if this base dies, the drones don't have to go very far. You know, like, I feel like that's worth it in some of these situations. Speaking of hatcheries, though, Scarlet does have a new base up to the top side, and it looks like she wants to put pressure on, or these are defensive units. I'm not really sure right now. She did break these rocks earlier, too, so... But God, just the static defense, which she's about to scout right now. So much of it. The Zealot Immortal trying to crack in here. I think the Immortal Archon wins this, but as I say that, more Lings spill in. I assume these are Adrenal Lings. But I assume incorrectly, they actually don't have Adrenal. They get joined by the Lurkers, so it doesn't matter anyways. They're going to kill all of this, as well as that base. Not even to cancel on that base. In the meantime, there's a fight going on in the middle of the map. Some yoinks coming down as these carriers are getting clicked by Scarlet. She's going to be able to take down a couple more carriers. Yeah, that's 3 dead carriers so far. Not a ton of storm energy underneath this as well. Still a few Archons left alive, though. It's still a tough army to deal with, but Scarlet's doing a great job in these fights. I feel like these fights are going well for Scarlet so far against this late game army. And at the same time, Lurkers are slowly cracking through over here with a Nidus on the way to try to potentially get back. Oh, the Lurkers a little bit left on their own up top. Are there some Storms and Archons available? The Archons have all run in and died. The Storms do land. Oh, I don't know, though. I don't know if there's going to be enough Storm and Carrier energy. The Corruptor count is falling, but there are 20 more Corruptors on the way. So even as the Carriers push this back, they're going to have a big answer in a minute as these Corruptors start to pop out. I don't think we have a Greater Spire, though, because of the double upgrades that have been happening. Lancer trying to crack in here. Needs to be careful, though. There's another yoink. A recall on these 2 carriers to get them out of there, as Scarlet has cracked this base and is working towards the natural now. Already breaking the wall, killing these robos. This Lurker counterattack is doing huge damage while Lancer was losing the fight on the front lines. And Scarlet is making this late game Protoss look easy. Lancer was in such a good spot. Way ahead economically. Had a big meaty carrier army out with still a nice ground army underneath. And yet, Scarlet handling this beautifully. Taking a few good trades against the carriers. Dealing with the counterattack by counterattacking herself with better units. Cracking through bases that Lancer wasn't able to hold on against. The Zealot DT warp in here will eventually stop these Lings from doing damage, but I think it's too little too late. Lancer losing a fresh base, the natural, some of the production in his main. Some of the production just all throughout, actually. Loses this gold base, which was not mining a ton, but this is important positioning, right? This is a defensive positioning for Lancer. So even if he's able to stabilize a little bit on these bases, he's now so far back, so far away from Scarlet's bases. She's going to be able to take this one again. And Lancer's not going to be able to do anything about it. Well, the Stalkers grab a Viper. That's good target fire from Cyan, but it feels too little too late. How many carriers are there? 5 carriers. There are 30 Corruptors. Scarlet could start up a Greater Spire here. Oh my god, no, she already has one. Yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong. Greater Spire is done. Which means if all these Corruptors die, this money just goes straight into Broodlords, and there is just no answer for that from Lancer. No answer from Lancer. She could actually morph like 8 broods right now, and Lancer still wouldn't have an answer. I don't even think she needs to, though. As these Lings and Lurkers are still getting damage done. These Lurkers have done so much. Well, one of them will fall. But there's the GG. As Scarlet moves in, kills more carriers on the bottom side. Wins with the Lurkers and Lings on the top side. Really, really excellent late game play there by Scarlet. Insanely impressive late game play by Scarlet. Waiting for that game 3. Okay, we're going to Oceanborn. Now, I would say the start of both of these games so far, Scarlet has tried to get like a tempo play going, something to kind of disrupt Lancer, and kind of in the same way that like Dark likes to disrupt Protosses, right? Just mess with their build a bit and make the game feel a little bit weird and difficult for them to like get their timings right, you know, nail that build order that they're looking for. With the hatchery in the early pool in game 1, and then game 2 going for the gold, right? She clearly had a plan with that, but it does feel like Lancer countered both of them. The 2-gate opener in game 1, I think, was a great way to take that tempo advantage right back from Scarlet, where she wanted to put pressure on with these Lings, but all of a sudden now she has to defend 2 Zealots and 2 Adepts, and on a 2-gate opener, that Nexus is going to be delayed anyways. So the extra maybe 30 seconds of delay from that hatch block suddenly becomes completely not worth it for Scarlet. So she gets put in a bad economic position against the Protoss. And then that makes Lancer's follow-up so much more powerful in game 1. And in game 2, the Cannon Rush, as a response to seeing that gold base right at the start, forced Scarlet to cancel not 1 but 2 bases. And then deal with, you know, the Zealot and Adept coming in again, deal with that cannon. And while she did a good job with it, that tempo advantage she was trying to take, I think ended up going to Lancer in both games. Lancer did a great job in that game 2 as well. I think it really did just come down to the late game fights going so well for Scarlet that it didn't feel like Lancer had an answer for what Scarlet was doing. Just the way she was handling the units, handling the spellcasters, being very, very cost efficient. The very high lurker count is, again, something that's very reminiscent of Dark. He loves to do that as well. I keep saying that because I cast a lot of Dark games, but I don't cast a lot of Scarlet games. So it is really interesting to see how similarly they kind of feel in these matches against Protoss. Both struggling with the Oracle into Glaives build. Both liking their Roach aggression for sure. And then the late game army control from Scarlet did feel like something we would have seen from Dark, right? Really good, cost-efficient play. Dark is one of the very few Zerg players that when he's down on drones, I'm like, well, he's got 20 workers though, so he might be just fine here. And that's just exactly what we saw from Scarlet. Now, game 3 is going to be very straightforward. No, like, aggression or interesting openings here out of Scarlet. Just going for pure macro play. And I think this is going to give her the best chance. I like that she was trying some of those moves. And I think a lot of Protosses would have really struggled with those openings in game 1 and 2. But Lancer handled them so well. Like, impressively well handled in games 1 and 2 in the openings, the early games. So we'll see how he does here against the macro play of Scarlet, which is, at the end of the day, really what she's known for. This is a nice opening, though. These Adepts coming in here, just grabbing 3 drones. Does look like 1 Adept is going to fall. I think that Queen gets there, right? Okay. Well, that's still a really nice opener for Lancer. Oracle's coming in. Actually, that's a Void Ray. What? Was there an Oracle as well? I mean, there's one on the way here, but Void Ray into Oracle. I thought for sure this was going to be the Twilight Council follow-up for more Glaive the Depths. I feel like that's just the build right now, dude. I don't know. That build is so good. I genuinely haven't seen it lose lately at all. Oh, hold on. Here's the Twilight Council. Ah, this is the Forge, though. Okay, so this is going to be Blink Stalkers. Or I should say it's probably going to be Blink Stalkers. But yeah, Classic just absolutely smashed both Solar and Dark. He didn't drop a map. He beat Solar 2-0 and then Dark 3-0 in this last week's KSL. And he literally just used one build in every single game. And he didn't directly win with it, but the Oracle opener into just like the Twilight Council, 2 extra gates, Glaive to Depths. He did game-winning damage in every game with it. Like, at least took a good enough trade where his follow-up won the game. Or the Zerg's follow-up didn't win the game. It was crazy. And then it was so funny, actually, as 7 more drones go down here. Lancer getting some good kills. Did lose a few adepts for this, though. Right after KSL on Friday, I was like editing some videos and getting my like replay pack together and everything. And I was watching Tasteless' channel because Tasteless had that Evo mod tournament on. He had his second Tasteless Time Warp. Which the first one was really cool. The second one was so sick as well. He had like MVP and MC in there. But he also had Classic and Dark. And Classic had just 3-0'd Dark in the KSL Finals with that build. And then we get to the Evo mod, and Dark is playing Brood War Zerg. And Classic is playing SC2 Protoss, and he hits him with the exact same build again and kills him again. And I was like, dude, if I was Dark, I would have been so tilted. We're not even playing really the same game, and you're going to do the same build to me and win again? That is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now in this game, we do have a different build. I know I'm talking about that build a lot. It's just crazy to me the win rate it has this week. Well, Lancer's hitting with some Blink Stalkers. Does have some Sentries here as well. Just 2. But the 3 Oracles are the real danger for the defensive units of Scarlet right now until these Roaches come out. But going to be a cancel on the 4th base. New 4th base goes down, but Lancer already has a 4th on the way as well. So this is a nice position for Lancer. Forcing that cancel is really nice. It's what I was talking about last game. Right? Those Blink Stalkers, they kind of have to come in and get something done. Scarlet, though, is going to be able to get in here and get some counter-economic damage done. Although it looks like the Blink Stalkers are going to be able to get home and stop it from being too much. Really just 1 probe going down so far. She's trying to target the gas-working probes. She will get a couple more of those before the Lings get cleaned up. This also pulls the pressure off of Scarlet for a second. That's the nice thing about the Ling run-bys, right? Is suddenly those Blink Stalkers, instead of being out on the map, poking at your creep, poking at your 4th base, they have to go home. They're going home. They're defending this little Ling run-by, and even though you're not getting a ton of damage done, pulls the pressure off of you. I think Scarlet's happy about that for a second. Happy to be able to breathe. She is heading towards Lurkers once again as we see that Lurker Den finishing up. The Hive is almost done at 8.5 minutes into this game. A nice quick Hive. And I think she's feeling safe against these Stalkers. Like, Lancer can't just kill her right now. She's got enough Roach Ravager out with the Hydras popping as well. The splash damage is on the way for Lancer, but again, feels a little bit late to the party. And that if there were 2 Colossi here right now, this would be a much scarier army. As it is, these Stalkers are going to try to dive in here, and they will force another cancel on the base. The stasis traps actually really helping to keep those Stalkers safe, as Scarlet was afraid to dive in there and get a bunch of units caught. The high ground is spotted here by Lancer, but I feel like he still doesn't really want to fight against this army. He doesn't see the Lurkers, and that's a big thing. Or he doesn't have them tagged, I should say. He's just going to drop a bunch of these force fields, be really annoying, and try to take a nice bit of trades. God, even more stasis wards going down. These are so difficult to deal with. I need to see Scarlet run some Lings forward, maybe. There's like 7 of them. Well, there's... Yeah, there's 7 of them. I can count. I can count, chat. A queen and a drone getting caught in this one. Well, lurkers do get tagged now. There's another stasis trap catching just a handful of lings. But the Colossus goes down. It was at the party a little bit early. Scarlet is going to push this right back. This is a very scary army now. Up to 8 lurkers in this army. We do have a massive Zealot counterattack ready to go here. As Lancer sees that base go down. And he's got the Stalkers moving around the left side. He's going to try to split this army up. Scarlet is going to have to deal with both sides. Ooh, there's another stasis ward catches some units. The Zealots decide to just run into the natural and avoid that new hatch. It does look like the lurkers down here might be able to hold on against the Stalkers of Lancer. Unless they get completely left on their own. More Zealots come in to hit this base as drones are starting to go down in the natural and in the main base. This base is forced to cancel. I think that's a straight up kill. Scarlet defends the left side, but these Zealots on the right hand side are causing so much damage and wreaking havoc in the bases. She still hasn't dealt with these ones. And oh my god, they're starting to shoot through the drones. The drones are getting pulled as the roaches come back down to deal with it. But Lancer in the middle of the map, just picking off some extra roaches here. Did Colossi ever get thermal lance? Okay, they do have thermal lance. Oh, we do see Adrenal. I feel like Scarlet missed Adrenal last game, or maybe it was just late. Again, the kill on the Hive last game was huge as well. Big delay on the tech. That has not happened as of yet this game. Scarlet's going to be free to tech a little bit more, a little bit sooner, a little bit quicker. I like the static defense. The spine crawler, lurker, spore crawler combo here is really nice. Lancer's another set of zealots up to the top side, just waiting for their opportunity to go in. As he once again moves to the left with the majority of his army. Scarlet is straight in the middle here. Her creep spread has been completely stymied. So you're trying to put down more creep tumors here, but he's going to get spotted by the army trying to do that. That queen's going to go down. And these lurkers, they can only hold for so long against this army. There's some storms. We do have some vipers out, though, as that hive is done. Problem here for Scarlet is it is 5 bases to 5. But she is at that cost-efficient army. I didn't get to take a look at the resources lost last game, but we're already seeing resources lost in favor of Scarlet this game. And that's very early for that to be the case. Usually the Zerg trades poorly in the early game, but not today. There's a second Spire for more of those upgrades, as we do have a Mothership on the way out. Nidus is coming up as well. We didn't see that Nidus used a ton last game, but it is always a threat, and something that, again, Dark loves to do in the late game is get lings into the main and just burrow a handful of lings around at various base locations to try to be as annoying as possible to clean them up. Because if you don't clean them up, then one ling pops out, starts nibbling over here, a Nidus worm starts popping, you have to go deal with it. Even if there's nothing in that Nidus, you got to go deal with it. You can't let it pop. And that kind of stuff really taxes the multitasking of the Protoss, especially if you're maxed and you can't just warp in 3 Zealots or 3 DTs or whatever to deal with it. You're maxed, you have to send units back. So annoying. That's why we see a lot of Protosses do leave like just a bit of empty supply. They'll be at like 192 or something, in case they really need to warp in a couple of units. It could be a useful thing. But we have those first few carriers coming out. They have a +1 attack already done. Scarlet is getting the Spire upgrades here. Just the +1 Carapace so far. I don't know if she's seen the first carriers. I mean, they kind of just popped, so this would be the time. Looks like they're going to come over and hang out here with the very powerful ground army of 1 Archon, 5 Immortals, and 5 High Templar with 3 carriers. This is just a terrifying army to engage. But again, we saw Scarlet do really, really well in those engagements last game. So Lancer is going to need to step up those engagements. But as I'm saying that these first carriers are out, we do not have any Corruptors just yet. Scarlet has some empty supply right now, so she could get into Corruptors. She's going to go for 11 Hydras right now, though. I mean, I know she just saw these carriers. Ooh, some nice storms to start things off. As the Vipers are on their way over. They got to be careful of the High Templar, but can still get some spells off. Lancer trying to push in up here as well, but Lurker's going to be really good against that. Man, he's like containing Scarlet right now. Oh, but Scarlet's going to dive up here. Lancer getting caught a little bit out of position. This is not a great spot to be in right now. Storms are going down. Feedbacks are going down. No more Viper spells. Those storms are really, really nice. The Lancer is going to run out of energy. And that is a lot of dead interceptors. In fact, I think that's almost all of the interceptors of these carriers right now. I don't think Scarlet realizes that those carriers are just out of interceptors. They're at like 2 each. Oh my god, she absolutely could have jumped on that. Terrifying moment there for Lancer, but Scarlet decides to back off and play it a little bit more safe. I think that's very, very good for him right now. Oh, we have a recall over to the right-hand side as Lancer's going to push in here. And there's a lot of units here, actually, for Scarlet, which is really bad in this situation because this army does not deal with this very well. And so Lancer should just be able to crack right on through this. Cloaking field even going down. The first Corruptors are popping out. Oh, we've got a bit of a yoink. Straight over the Hydras, which are coming over to reinforce. The base is going to fall. But losing that mothership is painful as well. And we have a Nidus popping out here. Lurker's just going to run by these cannons and go to the back corner. Oh my god, the Warpin from Lancer. That's so sick. Oh, the Zealot Warpin was so good. This one Lurker was about to be the most annoying thing in the world. And he just counters it with a 3 Zealot Warpin. What was I talking about, guys? Leaving that open supply for Warpins. That's the strat right there. It's so good. Lancer recalls back to the left side where Scarlet was trying to counterattack. A bunch of Lurkers getting caught here in a stasis as the carriers get yoinked. The Corruptors trying to dive forward. They are taking a lot of damage. Those storms going down on top of them. Not a lot of Archons underneath. The super shield battery has been turned on, but it can't save these carriers forever. The carrier count is dropping just down to 3. The Lurkers have been unfrozen. They are starting to really work on this ground army and this static defense. Can they chew through it? I think the answer might be yes. More Lings and Hydras on the way to support them as the last of the carriers goes down. And Scarlet now has a huge air army advantage. More carriers popping out is actually bad for Lancer to have these carriers popping out with this many Corruptors in the sky. The Lurker count has been dwindled down, though. It's just a couple of Lurkers left. Yeah, it's literally just these 2 on the field right now. So Scarlet might have to spend some of that money on more Lurkers as this base is getting hit again and there's no static defense left. That is just going to be a dead hatchery. Scarlet not going to be able to defend that, and that's a big problem. She's really just got maybe 2 total mining bases here. Quite a few gases left, actually. Maybe we could give her 3 mining bases. Lancer's on 85 probes and is just happily mining at all of these fresh bases. This one's still fresh. This one still has quite a lot at it. I mean, this is looking very, very nice economically for Lancer. Again, I do feel like Scarlet has traded well, but I don't know if 2k resources is enough to make up for the fact that Lancer has been mining so much more these last few minutes. We do have the Broods out now, though. This is something I talked about last game that we didn't end up seeing Scarlet really need to do. She was winning the game by that point. But the Broods coming out here, it caused a bit of an issue for Lancer. But Lancer did keep building carriers. So the fact that Scarlet still has, I can't count that high, 21 Corruptors in the sky is going to be very, very important. Lancer might need to start trying to get into some Tempest. But right now he's got to deal with this. And he's struggling. Ooh, okay. Corruptor's going to dive forward. They do get stormed. Lots of storms going down here. There's a cloaking field. I love the positioning of the mothership here. But, I mean, Scarlet has cracked through all the static defense of this base, and I feel like Lancer might need to leave, but he can't. How does he leave? There's creep spread here. Scarlet does still have some ground units. What is it? It's 3 Hydras. Oh, that's it. Okay, I was thinking there'd be some Lings or something. There's 40 Lings popping out right now. Because I think she needs a ground contingency to deal with Zealot run-bys and stuff. And oh my god, Lancer's moving over here. That is so many Archons. That's crazy. There's 8 Archons down here. And you know what? Broodlords are really, really slow and really bad at dealing with moves like this. I love that Lancer keeps using the recalls to maneuver to the top side and the bottom side of the map. And Scarlet has missed it now both times. Baneling's getting morphed. We do have some Infestors out as well. Some extra spellcasting, but this is such a good move from Lancer. He's going to come in here and kill the base before Scarlet is able to get her whole army up here. By the time she gets in position, base is gone. He just leaves. He could recall back down to this base now. I actually would love to see him put some more static defense down here and recall, but I think it's too late. I feel like Scarlet just gets in here with the Lings and kills this base. But Lancer is taking this one now. He doesn't need this base anymore. I think he's already assumed this was going to die. I don't think he needs to worry about defending that base. This one he should defend. He's just going to drop a ton of static defense at this base. Cannons and shield batteries for days. Ah, shoot. I'm sorry, guys. I was going to snooze those ads. Lancer once again can move over to the left side now. He does have a Nexus recall available. Oh, no, he doesn't. He doesn't have it yet. Never mind. I think this was a new mothership, which is why he was able to use that recall so much sooner. Scarlet's army is here, so Lancer has to be careful. But we do have a counterattack coming in here. Scarlet hitting with Ling Bane Lurker. This base is just going to take a lot of damage. Oh, there's the recall being available as the army is here. The Banelings all get popped immediately on a bunch of Archons. I think they were hoping for the High Templar. But Lancer going to be able to defend that base as the army is going to join up in the middle now. The Nexus recall is a much smaller radius. He cannot fit all 13 of these Archons in one recall. So that is a danger for Lancer, is that he could recall and end up with a weird split army, but he's going to dive in here now. Scarlet is in position with almost everything. Not quite the Broodlords yet, but as those Broodlords come in, Lancer is going to back up. Scarlet finally going to be able to defend this base. I wouldn't hate to see her try to take this one. It looks like she's sending some drones up here to at least start long distance mining. But as I say that, Lancer is sending a huge contingency of Archons over to the left, keeping most of just the air army on the right. This is very, very interesting. I don't know if there's any lurkers here. Lurkers are the real answer, I feel like, for this. As I say that, the lurkers show up. Oh, and this is a bit unfortunate, I think, for Lancer. Well, you know what? I think it might work. We'll see. Oh, the Archons diving forward. They are going to... That's not going well. Oh, it's a beautiful fungal as well. For some reason, I didn't think fungal would slow down Archons. Didn't fungal used to not affect massive units? Or is it just frenzied units? Maybe it's just frenzied units that they didn't affect, or don't affect. Zealot's coming in now. There is a tag on these lurkers, but the spine crawler is going to help out. It's not going to help out enough, though. The Zealots and Archons are cracking through. The lurkers are gone. Speaking of frenzied units, though, 6 ultras on the way for Scarlet, but on the way is not here just yet. And the Zealots and Archons are going to kill every drone at this base. 22 drones going down. And this base, while it has mined out quite a bit, is still an important base for Scarlet. She's going to start pushing up here, though. Trying to get the Broodlords in there doing some damage. The Ultras will be able to deal with this army very, very handily. Do they have chitinous? Assuming they do, I don't see it in the production tab. Yeah, they got chitinous. They got 3-2. No +3 Carapace on the way. I kind of would love to see a +3 Carapace here for Scarlet startup. Especially if she's going to be going into Ultras. Ooh. Oh, those Vipers both going down. They will get 2 carriers before they fall, but those Vipers is painful. Oh, and these Archons are still out on the map. Oh, that's not where they want to be. That's not the juice right there. The Oracle's going to turn on and try to just help out against these Ultras. Well, they will pop 2 Ultras, actually. That's pretty nice. And we do finally see some Tempest coming out of Lancer here. Those will just be able to outrange the Broodlords. I guess, theoretically, I don't know. Broodling range is weird, but makes it much more difficult for Scarlet to poke in and get damage done at this base. She's really got to keep an eye on this army, too, because Lancer has already shown the ability to just send the mothership to the other side and go for a cheeky recall. Scarlet going to send that ground army over to this base. Super Shield Battery does turn on, but there are some Banelings here. They're just going to smash into an Archon. Doesn't really matter. Lancer's going to recall a bunch of his units to the left side Nexus, including that mothership. He could recall on the mothership to get the rest of this army over there. This is actually a potential problem for Lancer. He has now split up his army substantially. This could be a problem for Lancer, or it could be a problem for Scarlet. I'm not sure who this is more of a problem for. A big storm goes down on this army that is huge, but I don't think there's enough ground army here to protect these carriers, and Scarlet agrees. The Ultras underneath will mince everything up. A huge warp in of Stalkers, but there's Lings and Ultras here, and these Stalkers are not going to be able to do it. The carrier army gets completely destroyed. The Lings and Ultras killing the ground army, and this is exactly what I was worried about for Lancer. Now, that being said, Scarlet does not have any anti-air here, so she's got to pull back on these Broodlords, but they can at least push these Immortals back, and then the Corruptors can fly their way home. And now the problem for Lancer is his air army is kind of crap. It's just completely Tempest. He does kill those Vipers that dove forward. He doesn't have any way to deal with this. He's already used his recall. He warped in a bunch of Stalkers. They were not successful at dealing with this. And this is going to be more dead probes and another dead base, and Scarlet is finally dealing some real damage to Lancer. You see, again, those trades have been going very well for Scarlet. She's almost 10k resources up. A huge fungal. Not going to do too much, but it does drain some of the shield battery energy at least. A few more broods on the way. Scarlet, I feel like, desperately needs more Vipers out. There is 1 Viper left alive. I think this might be a fresh Viper. I feel like some parasitic bombs here could be big. It's just more air army coming out of Lancer, who is, I mean, he's just not dealing with this. I was going to say he's struggling to deal with this, but he's just not even trying to deal with this right now. And I feel like that's a bit of a problem. He's going to go for another recall into the main base. This is an air army, so the Ling Ultra not going to be able to deal with it. But could those Corruptors come over here and just kill this again? I feel like they can. This time Lancer does have air army at both bases, though, so makes it a little more difficult for Scarlet. His air army is still terrifying. Look at that, 134 army supply. This is 6 carriers, 8 Tempests, the mothership, still a couple of Immortals and Archons on the ground, 6 High Templar, not to mention the static defense. This is still a scary army to fight. And this base feels very vulnerable for Scarlet. But as she's taking this one over here, I genuinely wouldn't hate to see her try to take this one as well. And maybe just give this base up here pretty soon. Whoop. We got a yoink on the mothership. Time Warp does go down. Cloaking Field activated, but that does not save her. And down goes Mama. Down goes the base as well. And yep, she's going to go ahead and take this hatchery. You'll love to see it. Ooh, Lancer sending some units around to deal with this run by, but also, I think, to put pressure on. Ground Army's kind of scary. Ooh, can we see a fungal from the backside? It's a cute little fungal. Yeah, this Ground Army, as scary as it is, I feel like the Ling Ultra is going to chew through it. God, these Immortals are so strong, though. But the Broodlords have showed up to close this out. That does mean Lancer can finish pushing this base in, though, and it looks like he's going to try to take this base. Killing a lot of these drones that have been just long-distance mining here. Both players going down to a very low worker count. Now, a lot of Ultras did die in this fight. And as we're at such a low worker count, there's no banks left. Scarlet has a bit of minerals left in the bank, but not much. And this is a problem for her. Her production is now under fire. Lancer is forcing a fight right now. Scarlet's not in a great position to take one. She doesn't have a lot of static defense here, and she is starting to lose some crucial production structures. One of the spires goes down. The Greater Spire is still alive, though. She's going to dive on top of this. Can she actually do this? A big fungal. I don't know if there was a parasitic bomb as well. I don't think there's enough corruptors, though. The corruptors are starting to fall to the carrier Tempest, Void Ray, and Mothership. The Broodlords have killed everything on the ground, but 6 more corruptors on the way. I don't think that does it. There's 5 carriers left. I think Lancer has this. He does lose another base in the meantime, but I don't think these Lings can ever chew through this. And Lancer is just killing everything. The Spire is dead. There's no more Corruptors. And look at this production. It's so vulnerable right now. Lancer needs to get into this base and just kill absolutely everything. Oh, this is so bad for Scarlet. Scarlet just has no anti-air left. She's going to lose the Hive, so no Vipers can come out. That's Queen. She's got it. The one lone Queen. All of the tech of Scarlet is going to go down here in the next couple of moments. And while she is killing Lancer's main base, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference here. Lancer has a fully defended base. There's not a lot of mining left, I will be honest with you, for either player available. Scarlet does have mining, but these gases are empty. These gases have a bit left. It looks like about 2K left. It looks like all of the other gases on this map are completely empty. These ones are even... that's not bad, actually, for Lancer. He's going to recall up here. Ooh, he gets some kills on the back end there. I don't think Scarlet has it left. There's only 2 Corruptors. Lancer's Air Army, I think, just wins this fight. The Spore Crawlers are not ready yet. Lancer's playing this so safe right now, but this is it. Scarlet can no longer win against this army. And the moment Lancer realizes that, I even think with all of these Spore Crawlers up, it's not going to be enough. Queens are a big part of the anti-air right now, and that's just not going to be it. The Mothership's going to go down. But I think these carriers just straight up win the game, as it looks like Lancer is going to be able to take the 2-1 victory here over Scarlet, getting what I would consider a pretty big upset. Again, even as Scarlet kills these bases, I don't think this army can crack this base. And Lancer is killing the last hope of Scarlet to be able to get any tech up, any production up, any mining going. She is going to do her absolute best to kill the rest of Lancer's stuff. We're getting down to the base trade moments here. Oh, Lancer sending the Void Rays home is so smart. It's just these Lings left. Everything else is dead. The Void Rays killed it all. And And she's going to tap out as she sees the amount of static defense at this base. There it is. Lancer takes the victory. Damn. The name change. Cyan going for the Oliveira strat of changing his name into winning big matches. GG.